whatever they do to themselves, between themselves, will be CBN rate plus or minus something, depending on whether it's a lending or a deposit.
So, which has been set already by you, by the CBN already.
Yes.
That symmetric corridor.
Yes. So what now happens now is that somebody looks at that our corridor, looks at NOFA, and decides, depending on the liquidity they have and how much risk, how risky they think that bank they are dealing with is, they now do NOFA plus or minus whatever that they have derived from the CBN corridor. So that way, the CBN corridor is influencing the rate at which the banks are lending to one another.
How about the rate at which they now lend to the rest of us?
So now, the rate banks lend to each other also now goes on to influence the rate they lend to each to us. Of course, the banks will lend to themselves at a certain rate, and then they lend to us at that rate plus something.
How about the rate at which they lend from you? Because they also
borrow
from
they borrow from us.
Yes.
So they borrow from us at SLF.
SLF, yes.
And they deposit to us. They make deposits.
Yes.
No, we don't call it because they deposit to us at 22%, which is SDF. 22 today.
Yes.
Can change anytime.
Yes.
So those two rates influence the rates at which they lend to one another between banks. And then after they've got that, it also now goes on to influence the rate at so each time. So the rate they lend to us is the lowest. They add something to it to lend to themselves.
Yes.
They add something to it to lend
us.
to, yes, correct. But you see, everything still derives from what the CBN has set. And that is CBN's way of transmitting monetary policy rates into the economy.
Because the CBN has been, I don't want to say criticized, because criticize is not the right word, because there's a limit to what you guys can do.
Yes.
For those of us that understand your acts and what you can do. So not criticized, it's talking about, monetary policy has not had so much transmission, or the rate of transmission is low.
It's low.
There's a lag, unlike what you have. If the US says something, the next day, the next 1 week, you're seeing it, work. But here, is the CBN now telling us perhaps there'll be better monetary policy transmission?
That's what it is. That's what it is, Nancy.
Okay, I will check from July.
Yes, every day the CBN is working to improve monetary policy transmission. Let me be clear. Monetary policy transmission is good today, but there's always room for improvement. It's good. If it wasn't good, we will not be at where we are with inflation.
I know.
Remember where we're coming from? No, Nancy. It's the numbers are there.
I know.
The numbers are there. We're coming from 34% inflation, and we're at 15. Monetary policy transmission has helped to bring it down.
There was a recalibration, though, by NBS.
Yes, but even after the recalibration, we're at 20-something. We're at 15.
Yes, I know. But you guys should do inflation targets.
No, we are working on it. You know, we're on the journey.
Single digits.
Yes, we're on the journey.
And that's where we will see impact.
And Nancy, let me tell you, there's impact. There's clear impact. It can be seen. If not for the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, by now we would have been, perhaps it would have been where we wanted to be. Remember that even with that, look at other countries, how, prices of goods went up. We haven't had that kind of rise. Just this morning, we were talking about the price of petrol coming down. They're going to come down. Yes, they're going to come down, but there's that lag. That lag is natural. But what we are doing is continuing to improve that transmission mechanism. We are not resting on our oars. We've achieved a lot, but we are still continuing, daily to improve. And this is part of that improvement.
Would this NOFA materially improve Nigeria's attractiveness to international capital?
It will, because now when people can trust the benchmark rates, products will be created. Like I told you, we are creating an OIS market now, overnight index swap market. So we're creating that market. We are strengthening the repo market off the back of NOFA. And what that does is that it attracts foreign investors who will now come and help deepen our market. So this is achieving two goals. One, improving monetary policy transmission, but also deepening the financial markets in Nigeria.
I'm still looking at risk somehow. Because in any system, you also try and look at all the others. I talked about the prevention of market manipulation earlier on, which you looked at. I'm also looking at if market liquidity falls sharply, for example, on any given day, just falls very sharply. Will this methodology be resilient?
It will be. That's why I talked about the fallback. So presently, we are awash with liquidity. We don't foresee liquidity falling. But even at that, we provided a fallback. Like I was saying, the fallback it's there in the methodology. It's based on MPR, based on the difference between NOFA and MPR, and it's robust. And it's best practices. You know, in creating NOFA, we looked at our market critically, but we also looked at markets around the world.
The world, yes.
You know,
I was coming to
get,
that.
Yeah, to get the best practices. And that's what we have included in this. Yes.
So would we say that this will make the market more sophisticated and more globally accepted? Of course, you've answered it one way or the other, but I'm looking at the sophistication part of it.
It will make our market more sophisticated. Today, we don't have a very strong derivatives market. So the overnight index swaps is the first step. This NOFA we are talking about, we have just started with the overnight. We are also going to build a yield curve of it. So we are going to now build the 30-day NOFA, the 60-day NOFA, the 90-day NOFA. So we're going to build a short-term yield curve.
Please, can you explain what that yield curve is?
Okay, so a yield curve is it's the interest rates in the market over time, over a period. So you can have, we have our overnight rate, just like how you have in Treasury bill. You have 90-day bill, 180-day. So, and you have rates at those. So the same way we have the overnight. How much will a bank lend to another bank overnight? How much will a bank lend to another bank over 30 days? How much will a bank lend to another bank over 60 days? So that's what we're going to do. So when we establish it, so let us say now that NOFA is 22 today. It may be that that's overnight NOFA. Then the 30-day NOFA maybe 32.02. Then the 60-day NOFA maybe 22.05. You know, that kind of thing. So we are able to create a curve so that if somebody says, okay, I want to lend for 15 days, you have 0, you have 30, you can interpolate. You can use that as a reference to now say, oh, 15 days should be around here. So that's what a yield curve does.
Okay, let me try and see if I can get it. Like a weighted average over a particular period of time.
The NOFA itself is a weighted average. So we are now saying we will calculate what 30-day NOFA will be.
60 days,
60 days, 90 days. So we create a yield curve. And let me tell you this thing about having a good yield curve. When you have a good yield curve, it means that derivatives can be priced from that yield curve. It means that you can develop your derivatives market. And why do you need a derivatives market? It deepens the market. It provides market participants hedging tools, speculation tools, because, speculation is there too. And it also just generally deepens the market and makes it more efficient. That's what we are targeting.
Okay. Yeah. So should we expect product pricing change, perhaps from banks, mortgage pricing changing, long-term infrastructure finance changing? Correct.
That is the ultimate goal. Because when you have a more efficient market, you attract capital. So prices will be more efficient and lower. Presently, we think that rates in Nigeria for financial products are very high. Do you agree, Nancy?
Yes, I do.
So we hope, and we are working, not just hoping, we are working towards bringing those rates down. And this is one of the steps.
We've had those rates very high for a very long time, and people like me have been canvassing for those kind of rates to come down to
this is a step in that direction.
Softer, lower rates so that people can do businesses. You can go into your banks. The economy will be more robust if we have favorable and accommodative rates.
But I hope you know why they are where they are today, because of the inflation, the high inflation.
Of that.
But that is improving gradually. That is improving, especially on the monetary side. Okay. From our side, we are doing all we can, but we also know that the fiscal side is doing their best too. They are trying to fix some of the structural issues we have.
The fiscal side is not trying as much as the monetary side.
I'm not holding brief for them. Let me just talk about
just talk about your own. Leave us that watch it and have a good grasp of it to just talk about it. It's not that you as the monetary side does not have a lot to do. When I get plenty things.
And that's what we are doing, Nancy.
Price stability, a lot of things Governor Cardoso has to do.
Yes.
So
but first comment Governor Cardoso for what he has done so far.
I won't do that.
Thank you.
I won't do that. Mine is to say, okay, this is what the central bank is doing. This is what it has done. What you guys have done, these are the results of what you guys have done.
Correct.
And we're expecting to see more. I want to see a stronger Naira than where it is right now. Okay. I know I've said it a couple of times, even to Governor Cardoso and even to deputy governors.
Yes.
I know I want to see inflation better than where it is right now, because that's where the ordinary Nigerian will feel it. Inflation is a thief, as it were. So if inflation goes down more than this, we will all be a bit happier.
Yeah.
But I also do know that bringing down inflation is not only the monetary side.
Thank you.
It's not only the CBN job.
There's a structural side.
It's
from
a
the fiscal
structural side, and majority of it perhaps is more structural than monetary. So I think I know that much to be able to. So that sign that you're expecting, I will give you my grade later.
Okay.
Not now.
Thank you.
But as we move along, we talk. What lessons did Nigeria or has the CBN look at from other jurisdictions to make us come to this point? Okay. And if there's any major financial market reform in the offing that you want to break here.
Okay, so the first question about who did we look at? Like I said, the US moved from LIBOR to SOFR.
SOFR.
The European Union uses ESTA.
Not UK. ESTA, somebody's name.
ESTR. Yes. The United Nations uses SONIA. And then even our neighbors in Africa, Zaronia in South Africa, and Kesonia in Kenya. So, and other countries, a few other countries actually, everyone is moving from contributed rates to transaction-based rates to bring down that risk, to really reduce the risk of manipulation, and also to bring in transparency. And that's what we have done. Okay, so we believe that we have a benchmark rate that people can trust, a benchmark rate that is now, like I said, difficult, very extremely difficult to manipulate. So people can trust and create products around it, and that will help our markets. So that's the answer to the first one. In terms of reforms, a lot of reforms have gone on. Some we have announced, some we have not. Starting from the FX we did, you know that till today FX has remained stable. Now we did this NOFA. We've also quietly done a fixed income reform that is on now. Our market is more visible now for it. We started that on. That was why I used the June 1 date. So on June 1, we started a platform that if people log on to Bloomberg now, they can see the entire market. They can see what's going on in the market. Before, our market wasn't very visible. We had a market, but it wasn't very visible. So now we have put that in place, and we have also introduced some very strong regulations that mean that market conduct is now better. So that's it. And trust the central bank, more reforms. Governor Cardoso is a reform governor, so more reforms are going to keep coming, all towards making our economy better.
NOFA in one word.
Transparency, robust benchmark that will deepen Nigeria's market.
3 words.
5 words or whatever, but it passes the message.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Omano.
Thank you very much,
I think
Nancy.
we've had a very good conversation on this.
Yes.
However technical as it is, I think we try to break it down for people to understand. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Perhaps when there's another reform.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. And it's been good being on your program again.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, I've been speaking with Mr. Uke Umano. He's been speaking on NOFA. So whenever you hear me talk about NOFA now on the program, I hope you understand what I mean, and definitely trust me, I'll be telling you what it means every day on the show. So Mr. Uke Umano is the Acting Director of Financial Markets at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Thank you all for joining us again today. Please make it a date with me again tomorrow. I'll be here same time. That's 10 a.m. now on AIT, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. From the team here, have a good day. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye for now.
AIT Music Plus. We
The child shall in all circumstances be among the first to receive protection and relief in times of emergency and disaster.
UNICEF means the survival, development, and protection of children all over the world. Africa, Asia, South America, everywhere.
Ms. Hepburn traveled to virtually every area of the world where children and women are in need of assistance, giving them hope and comfort with her presence and tenderness.
I would like to read to you something very, very important, and it moves me deeply to have this privilege. The preamble to the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The child needs love and understanding and shall have the right to grow up in an atmosphere of affection and security. The child shall be entitled to grow and develop in health and shall have the right to adequate nutrition, housing, recreation, and medical services. The child is entitled to receive education and an opportunity to develop abilities in order to become a useful member of society.
Hello and welcome to another enlightening edition of The Teacher, the program where we celebrate teachers, examine the issues shaping the future of education in Nigeria and beyond. I am Philip Yang. Education thrives in an environment of safety, stability, and trust. But across Nigeria, many schools are increasingly becoming targets of insecurity, from the abduction of students and teachers to attacks on school communities. The learning environment has come under serious threat. While governments continue to introduce policies and security initiatives, many stakeholders believe that political interference, delayed responses, inadequate funding, and poor implementation have weakened efforts to secure schools. Today, we examine the topic, security versus political interference, a major challenge facing Nigerian schools. We'll celebrate an outstanding educator in our Teacher of the Week segment, bring you a compelling documentary feature on school security challenges, and later, engage with our guest in a critical discussion on what must be done to safeguard Nigerian schools. Stay with us. Today's Teacher of the Week is Mr. Kingsley Kelechi Ekpe, Vice Principal Admin, Daitams International School, Rivers State.
Now, what are intrinsic values? Intrinsic values are those things we cherish because they help mold our destiny. I've been a teacher for about 15 years. Okay, my motivation is that, when you see the young ones, okay, being as if they are lost and they need something to fill in that gap, that space, and that's learning. So I see myself, being in a position to fill that gap. I've learned so many things, how to do so many things, how to be able to, adapt to situations, especially when it's overwhelming, how to manage people, the students and the teachers as well. So it has been, a wonderful experience. Now, personally, it has molded me to know that there's how to relate with people. Interpersonal relationship is a very great virtue that I've learned in this system. My most fulfilling moment as a teacher is when I see students moving from I don't get it to I understand now. As a teacher, there are challenges, of no doubt. But I think one of the first steps to overcome those challenges is to be able to, have a different perspective, a different mindset. You can feel aware that you are called into a vocation, okay, and doing it with your heart, okay, is what will make you to go ahead. That will be your drive. How to stay motivated despite the challenges is to remain focused. Remain focused, okay, and do what you're doing, because you know that at the end, all the work, all the efforts you've put in, okay, you see them speaking, not necessarily for the children to remember you in the future by giving you something, but to remember that someone has impacted their lives.
He's a very good teacher, very interactive with his students, and I'm actually very happy that we are celebrating him because he needs more recognition.
What makes Mr. Ekpe different from other teachers is his ability to communicate and converse with his students, both as friends and as teachers as well. Mr. Ekpe has helped me to improve academically in the ways of advising me on how to behave in class, with decorum, respect, and to obey teachers.
Mr. Ekpe is calm, he's humble, and he's a person that listens. Working with him has become so easy because he has a way of interacting with teachers and he's able to coordinate the teachers very well such that the work goes on seamlessly.
He's loving, he's jovial, he's a fantastic leader. He's a people's person. He carries everybody along and he makes sure that the work is done.
For the period he has fielded these children into WAEC and NECO, they have come out excellent. That is professional. Then otherwise, he is a humble, dedicated, respectful teacher.
At a time when many educators face insecurity, inadequate resources, and challenging working conditions, teachers like Mr. Kingsley Kelechi Ekpe reminds us that the future of our nation is still being shaped by committed professionals in our classrooms. On behalf of the teacher, we say thank you for your service and congratulations on being our Teacher of the Week. For millions of Nigerian children, school should be a place of learning, growth, and opportunity. But for many families today, sending a child to school has become an act of faith. Next is our documentary feature on school security challenges.
For many Nigerian parents, the simple act of sending a child to school has become a daily exercise in faith. Schools, once seen as safe havens for learning and development, are increasingly becoming targets of kidnappers, terrorists, and criminal gangs. The crisis is no longer limited to one region. It is spreading. On May 15, 2026, Nigeria witnessed 2 shocking school abductions on the same day. In Borno State, armed attackers stormed Musa Primary and Junior Secondary School in Askira Oba and abducted dozens of pupils during school hours. Reports indicated that about 42 children were taken, some directly from classrooms and others from nearby homes. Weeks later, many families were still waiting for answers. That same day in Oyo State, gunmen disguised as security personnel attacked 3 schools in Orire local government area, abducting 39 students and 7 teachers. Tragically, 1 teacher was killed during the attack, while another was later reportedly beheaded in captivity. These incidents have sent shockwaves across the nation, demonstrating that school insecurity is no longer a northern problem alone. Yet, these are only the latest entries in a painful national record. In 2014, the world watched in horror as 276 girls were abducted from Government Girls Secondary School, Chibok, in Borno State. More than a decade later, some of those girls still remain unaccounted for. In 2018, 110 schoolgirls were kidnapped from Dapchi in Yobe State. Although most were eventually released, 1 girl, Leah Sharibu, remains in captivity years later. Since then, attacks have continued across Kaduna, Katsina, Niger, Zamfara, Kebbi, and other states. According to reports, at least 1,900 students have been kidnapped from schools across Nigeria since the Chibok tragedy. The consequences go beyond the victims. Fear has forced some schools to close. Enrollment has declined in vulnerable communities. Teachers increasingly reject postings to rural areas, while parents struggle with the anxiety of whether their children will return home safely each day. Despite government promises, security initiatives, and budgetary allocations, many fencing, surveillance systems, trained security personnel, and effective emergency response plans. Communities continue to ask difficult questions about accountability, implementation, and whether politics is standing in the way of effective security decisions. Education cannot thrive where fear reigns. If Nigeria is to secure its future, it must first secure its schools, because every child deserves to learn without fear, and every teacher deserves to teach without looking over their shoulder. This is not just a security challenge, it is a national emergency.
Welcome back. Following that insightful documentary, we now turn to our guest, Dr. Thomas Adejo Yusuf, who specializes in public policy and decentralized governance. A lecturer with the Department of Public Administration, Prince Abubakar Audu University, Ayingba, Kogi State, to help us unpack the growing concerns surrounding school security on the efforts to protect learners and educators. You're welcome to The Teacher, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here with you to serve as a guest on this program.
Thank you. So, as we know, Nigeria has been plagued with a lot of insecurity concerning schools in many parts of the country. The most recent and most shocking is the recent kidnapping of children and teachers in Oyo State. So tell me, to what extent has political interference, poor governance, or lack of political will contributed to the continued vulnerability of schools despite repeated security warnings?
Thank you very much for posing that question. When we talk about security, we look at security in so many angles. It is a diverse issue. We talk about physical security, and we equally talk about there is a psychological security. The state of being prevented from any harm, the state of being safe, that is what security means, it implies. And if we talk about the vulnerability of security issues as it relates to our schools in Nigeria of these days, you discover that it has really rendered our schools in a panic situation. The schools are no longer safe. The recent cases of Oyo, that of most recently also was one that happened around Karanamoda in Zamfara State. We had it. And just as of today as well, we equally had it that those state government has issued an ultimatum that there should be closure of schools because of the threatening issues of security. So we are not finding it easy in this country. Even the teachers who are supposed to be at the front burner of teaching and learning are not finding things easy. They are taking things in fear, total fear. The students, the pupils as well. A lot of students, a lot of pupils have not given into education again because there is this threat that education is no longer becoming a business as usual, or it has become a threat even to their life, rather than being a positive part of their life that can make them grow and acquire knowledge. The environment has been rendered so vulnerable to insecurity. Security issues are on threat.
Wow.
Actually.
Wow. See, as educators, this is something that really, really borders down to the heart. Seeing, are we saying that schools cannot be protected, or the government have no ability to protect schools? Is that what we are saying?
Thank you very much also. We are not saying that schools cannot be protected. Schools can actually be protected. The issue of insecurity dates back for more than 4 or 5 decades. It is not today that we are having the issue of insecurity. They can be protected, actually. But the major issue is that the rudiments of bringing in the protection that students and pupils and even the teachers deserve, have they been put in place? One of such issues is the politicization of academic activities. Anything that has to do with academic, anything that has to do with the schools, it has been politicized in recent times, and we have not been finding it easy. In the academia, you don't see people that are most qualified taking positions any longer. It is on who you know syndrome, on who you know in the society that has the ability to bring you in. The most credible people have not been placed in the right positions to manage the insecurity problems that we're having in our Nigerian schools. That is one contending issue.
All right. Just like you just mentioned, Edo State shutting down schools. Several government interventions have been announced over the years to secure schools, but yet these attacks still continue. They continue now almost on a weekly basis. Where are the gaps where are the gaps? What policies, what needs to be on ground to ensure these schools are protected?
Thank you very much. Also, there are a lot of policies that can be put in place. Not until today, there is a federal government policy on the safety, national policy on safety, security, and violence-free schools that was implemented by the federal government. This policy is meant, it has guidelines that is meant to keep the schools safe. If the policies have been actually integrated into the system, we will have a safer school. But the inability of government to implement these policies to the latter has actually affected our Nigerian schools today, and we are not finding it easy. If you come to think of it also, you discover that we spoke about politicization of positions in the school. Those that are the helm of affairs, security operatives that are supposed to, those who are experts in security issues have not been rightly placed.
Okay, so you are saying the policies are there.
The policies are actually there.
So is the implementation,
the implementation is the problem.
Who should be held responsible?
Well, the issue of security, you cannot hold one person accountable. When we talk about security, we are talking about you and I who are involved in this security issue. Because the first step to security starts from your doorstep. If you remember, we have the Know Your Neighbor policy that is always around. You cannot just wake up in the morning without knowing who is your neighbor and who is not your neighbor. Try to know, they say, if you see something, you say something. Try to know who your neighbor is. That is the first step to security. All hands must be on deck. Both parents, both teachers, critical stakeholders, and government should come to the round table to make sure that this issue of insecurity in our Nigerian schools is actually handled.
All right. So many school administrators still complain that security concerns raised at local level are basically ignored. We had the case of where they said security information went to a school, but security was pulled out. You understand? So how can school leaders, teachers, and communities be empowered to make urgent security decisions without being hindered by bureaucracy in the government sector?
Okay. The issue of security operatives, people going to meddle in security activities and being not accepted or not given the room to play their major part in security issues, we cannot totally say it is out of place. No, as stakeholders in security issues, you use the school management boards, you use the PTA by passing formal resolutions. When you use the PTA, you bring these formal resolutions to board. If security issues are handled with utmost connectivity and utmost urgency. Thank you. When the utmost urgency is there, everybody will want to partake in security issues.
We know that everyone now is afraid of kidnapping.
Sure.
Schools are being forced to shut down. Every student enrollment has reduced. The economy is getting harder. What impact has this insecurity going to cause in the long-term run in terms of students' enrollment, in terms of learning, in terms of our youths and our children?
In the long run, we may not get it smiling at all because student enrollment is actually diminishing by the day. Parents are afraid to enroll their pupils who are qualified, who are already qualified to be in schools. For instance, if you look at enrolling someone for a pre-nursery school now, many parents are not comfortable with that again. And it has reduced the level of enrollment at the nursery level. Then, if you even think of taking students to tertiary institutions as well, you will notice that there are some areas, some states at the disadvantageous side. They no longer have pupils. They no longer have students in their schools. For example, I was discussing with a friend who said in one of the universities in the northeastern part of the country that the students' population has reduced drastically to just 1,000. Wow. Not more than 1,000. That before they used to have up to 15,000 students, but with the present insecurity situation, we are not getting it right at all. And the way it is going, we might, in the long run, we might lack experts in various fields of studies.
Wow. So, to tell me, if Nigeria is really serious about ending the attacks on schools and achieving uninterrupted learning for every child, what immediate steps need to be taken to ensure this? Within like the next 12 months, what do we need to do right now to ensure that schools are secured and children can return back to schools?
Well, if Nigeria must attain fully the security issues to ensure that we have a safer environment in Nigeria, Nigeria must fully fund and enforce national policy on safety, security, and violence-free schools. That policy must be implemented fully. And also, the schools, the governance of the schools should be deviated from political interference. It means there should be a clear-cut demarcation between security issues and politics.
Well, sir, all I can say is thank you for your time, and we appreciate your insights into this program, and we hope to have you another time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
As we conclude today's program, one message stands out clearly. Education cannot flourish where fear exists. Every child deserves to learn in safety. Every teacher deserves to work in an environment free from threats and intimidation. And every parent deserves the confidence that their children will return home safely after school. School security must never be treated as a political issue. It is a national responsibility and a fundamental investment in Nigeria's future. The challenge before us is not simply to react after attacks occur, but to build systems that prevent them from ever happening in the first place. We therefore call on governments at all levels, security agencies, community leaders, school management, parents, and civil society organizations to work together to create a safer learning environment across the country. Because when schools are secure, learning continues. When learning continues, communities prosper. And when education thrives, the nation grows. Thank you for watching The Teacher. I am Ian Philip. Join us again next week as we bring you another important conversation shaping the future of education in Nigeria. Goodbye and stay safe.
Catfish, the act of growing a diverse group of red fin fish, is popular in Nigeria. The production of the fish for commercial purpose is a major practice by farmers, as it accounts for over 80% of the country's aquaculture output, with a booming domestic market, as well as a strong export sales of smoked fish. In catfish production, feed constitutes the most important cost, as Nigeria still imports feed with only a few producing locally.
Diesel, very expensive. NEPA, when they will bring their NEPA bill, per month they are bringing 70,000. Raw materials is no-go area. Where are we going to get the money?
Its production in recent times is becoming difficult for some small-scale farmers due to the hike in the cost of feed as a result of scarcity of raw materials and depreciation of naira against the dollar, making it difficult for farmers to cope.
Feeds is nothing to write home about, so expensive. Everything has gone so high that the business is becoming so tiresome. But then, as many of us that had the vision, the love of it is there, we will not go back. After having spent so much on a cycle, at the end of the day, you want to sell. For instance, somebody will come and say they want to buy a kilo for 800 naira, 850 naira. This is something you have spent so much on. If you sell it for that rate, you are definitely not going to come back into the business if care is not taken.
The feed now is being imported, and the exchange rate is affecting the importation of the products. The cost of fish has increased. Before now, we could buy this one for 500, but now it's 1,000, 1,012 for each. So it's apparently very high.
It should be noted that some production plants and fish processing plants are practically shutting down due to scarcity of raw materials. This mill, which employs over 30 young Nigerians, is empty when AIT crew visited, as no worker was seen.
There's no two ways about it. They are closing. So the old people that are surviving now, people that are getting other funds from other businesses to augment what they are doing. And it's because of the passion. That's why some people are still afloat. But I want to assure you all, it's not as if I'm giving any negative prophecy, but if these things persist, a lot other farmers will go down.
For this catfish seller, most Nigerians, instead of patronizing locally produced catfish, many prefer to buy other imported fish at exorbitant prices.
In fact, catfish is very, very less than Titus. With it, we don't even see people buying it. They say they don't want catfish because it is our product here. We need to patronize our Nigeria. Whatever you do here, let's patronize it. From there, you'll be able to grow up.
Shower fish and Titus fish can be brought to us here to be buying frozen. We don't know their source. We don't know whether they died and they packaged it, they frozen it and brought to us. People rush at them.
As Nigeria struggles to bridge the fish gap, which is over 1.9 million tons and costs over $1.2 billion annually on importation, finding lasting solutions to
there is no greater job as being a mother than any other job on earth.
The woman is the mother of the murderer. The woman is also the mother of the peacemaker.
They must learn to say no to evil.
Be involved in raising your children.
I'm so concerned that a lot of the children, our children in Nigeria, do not have access to good quality education. Their parents simply cannot afford it.
Good parenting is vital to nation building.
A woman is able to program a child to be who he should be
actually have to make an effort at home. It all begins at home.
There's this popular saying, monkey see, monkey do.
Parents make one child seem more important than the other.
Just because your mother was a drug addict or trafficked or on the streets or whatever, that does not shape who you are.
I want you to always remember that you are stronger than you know. It is important for a woman to critically look at your environment, at your situation, and see what you can do to add value to yourself and add value to your family.
Don't be a victim. Be the player that wins.
I'm a pediatrician by profession. I'm married. I'm married to Ademola Adesomi, and I have 3 beautiful children, all girls, ages from 15 to 9. I would say that my growing up was very eventful. I'm second out of a family of 4 children, and the years between myself and my younger sister and my younger brother is quite a lot. So that meant it wasn't just normal sibling growing up. You know, I looked after them pretty much the way an auntie would look after a little one. I remember changing diapers for my kid brother. I remember backing him. I remember feeding him. I remember giving him a bath. So I would say that I had an interesting period growing up as a child because, yes, I did play like all children would, but very early on, I also had other responsibilities of looking after younger ones, you know, so it wasn't just play all through. And I would say also that my mom really, she labored because, yes, she was a working mother, had a demanding job, but she still took time to make sure that we learned to do basic things in the house. And I remember that the yardstick she gave us was, by age 10, you should be able to cook all kinds of food in the house. And of course, no child likes to work, but we did it. We grumbled, we cried, but we did it. I remember trying to learn to cook. Of course, you're learning. You will make blunders, like making gari and there are many lumps in it, making ogi and there are many lumps in it, making amala and there are many lumps in it, and you have to eat it with all the lumps. And if you've done that a few times, you don't like it with the lumps, sooner or later you will make up your mind to learn to do it properly so that you don't have to eat lumpy food. And I also remember going to the market with her, and she would show me, this is how you buy this, this is how you buy that. You know, by the time I was a teenager, a young teenager, I would go to the market by myself. But that's because my mother took out the time to train me, to teach me these things, to show me these things. And I lost my dad at a very young age. I was 12 when my dad passed on. The implication of that is that more responsibilities came to my plate. My elder sister and I had to become stronger supports for my mom. So we would do the shopping, we would go with the shopping list and we'd buy all the things. We'd go to mile 12 to buy things. We'd go to Ijora to buy fish, cartons of fish, you know, and all of that was because, but when she needed us to support her, we could do it because she had trained us. She didn't know the husband was going to pass on so early, but she was just committed to raising children, raising daughters that are independent, daughters that are very useful, daughters that are very resourceful. So she was just doing what she needed to do as a mother. And in the end, it paid off. I mean, I would say that she was the first to reap the benefits of her hard work, because then we were able to do a lot of things. And when my dad was no more to support so much, we could look after our younger ones while she paid attention to working and earning money to keep us together as a family. So I had a very interesting childhood. Yes, I played as a child, but I think I grew up very quickly because I had to look after my younger ones, and because I also had to support my mom, seeing that my dad passed on so early. So that's a bit about how my childhood was.
Exceptional mom, shape the future.
So I started my career, in medicine. When you first become a general doctor, that's just step one. Then you take the decision whether you want to become a specialist or not. And then you go for the necessary training. And the training is quite tedious. And so my husband agreed that, look, your training is quite tedious. If we were to start to raise a family now, something will suffer. Either the training will suffer, or the family will suffer. The children will suffer. And the specialty that I chose is pediatrics, to look after children. So if my training is suffering, indirectly what it means is that other people's children committed to my care will suffer. They will suffer because I'll be an absent doctor. They will suffer because I'll be an improperly trained doctor. I'll be an unskillful doctor. They will suffer. On the other hand, if I give all the attention to the training and we're raising children, then I'll be absent from the home, and the children would also suffer. They will suffer maternal absence, maternal neglect. So again, I want to say, I want to really appreciate the role that a husband plays in helping a mother to fulfill her role as a mother. So my husband looked at the schedule, at the program, and he said, you know what, let's hold on a while. Let's pursue this career to a point. Then we will start to raise a family, because a point comes in the career where it's not so tedious, where you're going to be able to balance it better. And that's exactly what we did, which is why our first daughter was not born until 3 years after we were married, meaning that for the first 2 years, there wasn't any pregnancy deliberately, because my husband said, let's do this to a point. And there was a lot of wisdom in that, his decision. And so by the time my first daughter was born, I could give her all the attention that she needs. And we didn't know that pregnancy was going to be rough. We saw a lot of pregnant women, and we still see, who are pregnant and they are doing everything as though there was nothing going on, as though it's just as easy as breathing air every day. So nobody expects to have a tough pregnancy period. Okay, so the surprise was awaiting me. So pregnancy for me was tough. I threw up, I was vomiting, nothing stayed. All the tricks in the book, try cola nut, try white cola, try stone, and I forgot what they call it. There are all kinds of local remedies. Try chewing gum, try sour foods, all of them did not work. Everything I took, I threw up. Even water. Try yogurt, I was just throwing up. At several points, I had to be admitted, because I wasn't eating, I was weak, and I had to be put on drip, and so it was rough. Of course, I couldn't really walk. I was out of work for months because I had a very turbulent first pregnancy. And at several points when I would tell my doctor that, isn't there anything you can do about this vomiting and I'm so weak? Say, okay, well, the only solution is to bring out the baby. Once you bring out the baby, everything was, I said, no, leave my baby. So even though I was going through so much discomfort, I was not about to lose that baby. And you can imagine. So eventually, the day came and this beautiful girl was born. And normal delivery, and as she came out, of course, as usual, they showed her to me. I saw her, and I was tired and all. I didn't really take it in then. It was a few hours later, I now sat up, I was now looking at her. Do you know what was going through my mind? So this is you. This is the reason I have been throwing up. I've not been able to work for months. If I was in private employment, I'm sure my employer would have thrown me out. But I was a civil servant, you know, so it was easy to get all kinds of sick leave and all of that. And that I threw up throughout the pregnancy did not in any way breed any resentment or hatred or anything. As a matter of fact, the kind of affection, the kind of love, I said, wow, so this is you. Finally, I can see you. And for me, it was, I'm trying to look for words to describe the experience, joyful. And I was really very happy, really, you know, and she looks like her father vomited her. So I will look at myself and feel, oh, I did this. It's not me, it's God, but you know, I feel cool that there can be no dispute about it. This is Mr. So-and-so's daughter. And so it was a very joyful experience for me, and I really felt accomplished, you know, and right from day one, I gave it everything, because this is a motherhood that I had prepared for about 3 years. It didn't come upon me suddenly. My husband and I prepared for parenting. Even before we got pregnant, I got pregnant, we read books, we did all kinds of things. So it wasn't like parenting came upon us suddenly. We prepared for it, we had looked forward to it. And so we're quite happy to be parents. And of course, like we had predicted, I needed to slow down a bit on the career side. Because now there was baby to look after, so I needed to be in the house more than before. All that was arranged with my colleagues, you know, so my hours of work were rescheduled and all that, so that I could be more available to raise her. I did exclusive breastfeeding, which is what we preach and we encourage mothers to do, you know, as pediatricians. And it was really very rewarding, because everywhere we went to, everybody wants to carry my daughter, because she was so well fed, so, you know, healthy, hardly ever ill. And for me, motherhood was not just the joy of having a child, but it was also the joy of practicing what I believe. I believe that children should be cared for. Not just practicing what I believe, practicing what I had learned. You know, so through a lot of research, I'd learned a lot of things about how a child should be cared for. So being a mother for me meant many things. The joy of having my own, and the joy of actually practicing what I've learned, what I believe, and seeing that these things actually work. And then you know what? It also helped me to be a better doctor to the children I was caring for and to the mothers, because I could then empathize with them as a fellow mother. I could then bring the things that would normally have sounded so high and lofty and look unachievable. I could then bring it to their level and say, you know what, I've passed this road. This is how you do it, this is how you do it. Talk about exclusive breastfeeding. A lot of working mothers felt that this is just not achievable. But by the time I shared my experience with that, look, the way to do it is go to work with bottles of water, so that you are drinking enough water while you're at work, so that you can sustain the breast milk flow. And for them, it was an eye-opener. Then I went further, I said, go to work with bottles, so that you can express milk into bottles while you're away and store it in a cooler. It was an eye-opener, you know. So, I mean, I thank God I have this privilege of being a mother. It has also been a learning experience. Okay, so I've been talking about the first girl. I have 3 girls. All my 3 children are girls.
Exceptional mom, shape the future.
The second set of children, because they're a set of twins, there's a few years between the first and the second. And of course, the reason for that, many reasons, one of which also was, we said, let's just finish everything we're doing for now and then we'll move on. And receiving my first daughter, because I was in a particular stage of my postgraduate training, so it was easy to have people cover up and switch roles with you, and you can have more flexible hours. But by the time the twins were going to be born, I was a specialist. I was the final bus stop. So I had more responsibilities. More things were on my table. So I did not have the luxury of very flexible hours anymore. So I needed to devise more methods of managing my children, still being a present mother to them, not being an absent mother, and also being a present doctor to my patients, you know. So by the time I had the twins, other things I had to do, other methods I had to evolve as a mother was the method of actually carrying cooler to work. Not for food though, cooler with ice. Because again, for the twins, I also did exclusive breastfeeding. So I would carry a cooler with ice to work with empty bottles, and I would carry plenty of water to drink as well. So I would take short breaks while working, drink the water, and express the milk and keep in the coolers. Such that by the time I'm going back in the evening, I'm going back with many bottles of breast milk, so that my children could be fed with this express breast milk while I was away at work. Because my average day starts around past 7 when I'm leaving home. I drop my first daughter in school, then I go off to work, and then I'm not getting back home until like around 6 or 7. So I'm effectively away from home for about 12 hours. So, and you know, it's not just the absence, it's also the fatigue. And those are the things that affect breast milk flow. Those are the things that worry mothers, that once I started work, this milk is not flowing again and all that, you know. So to deal with all of that, I had to make sure that for those hours I was away, I was expressing a lot of milk, such that the occasion of reduction of breast milk flow wouldn't arise, because while I'm working, while I'm at work, I'm expressing. The fewer the times you express the milk, the less production will occur. So, and that's what happens to many mothers. When they go to work, they are not breastfeeding the baby, they are not expressing, so the demand on the breast is less. And once the demand on the breast is less, the brain will tell the breast, don't produce so much. That's one pathway that makes breast milk flow reduce. Another pathway is that the mother's body is tired. So that's another factor that makes breast milk reduce. So you know, now we're talking about breastfeeding to children. And I had made up my mind that I was going to be a present mother to these children, that I'm a pediatrician will not be the reason why my children will suffer maternal absence, you know. So that was what I had to evolve for them. For their sister, I didn't have to carry a cooler to work because I wasn't away for that long, for such long hours. But for them, I carried cooler to work, water and all of that. And then, of course, again, we can't take away the grace of God, because when you do exclusive, mothers who have done it will tell you, it means that your sleep at night is disturbed. You cannot sleep straight, or you cannot sleep 2 straight hours. It's not possible. With twins, even with one, you can't sleep 2 straight hours. Not to talk of with 2 children. You know, but that's where the grace of God comes in. And I always encourage mothers to ask God for his help, to help, because you can't do this being the godly kind of mother, the present mother. You can't do it with human strength. There has to be divine strength. So if you put all the short hours, short minutes I slept together, maximum maybe to come to 3 or 4 hours in a day. Because you would wake up, you would breastfeed, then rock them to sleep and all that. So night, in the daytime I was working in the office. In the night, when others were sleeping, I was working on my bed with my babies, happily doing it, because I saw that it paid off with their sister. You know, I saw the gains in terms of health, in terms of intelligence, you know, in terms of bonding between mother and child. I saw it with the first girl, and I said, I'm not about to lose this, to trade all of this with these ones. And so it motivated me to be able to do what it takes to do that. So, so that's about feeding and working and being a present mother. Yes. In the midst of all this, you do your exclusive breastfeeding, you do your immunizations, you do everything, illnesses will still come. Occasionally, yes, they fell ill. Those times also were equally challenging, because, so I would have been awake all night because maybe a child was running temperature, and when they were twins, you won't want to know, they used to fall ill together. If one starts this evening, either by the morning or by the next evening, the second will join. You know, so I would have spent the night nursing sick children. In the morning, other people's children are waiting. that their pediatrician is coming. So I will package my own children, give them drugs, do everything, hand them over to the nannies, and then go off to the work. And then I'll go and do the work. My own children are at home. Somebody else is looking after them. Do the work, finish, and come back. So, I mean, that was also some emotional demands, you know, to be able to balance yourself emotionally such that the emotional demands at home are not spilling over to the work outside and making you cranky and irritable and snapping at everybody. Again, I will say that it's God that gives us the grace to do that. The natural person will snap. Don't you know I didn't sleep in the night? Don't you know that my own children were sick? I remember one day, it was even my first daughter who was ill. She had been ill for a while. She was throwing up and all that. Eventually, I had to take her to the hospital where I was working, and she had to be admitted. And then the doctors could not find her vein. They couldn't set her line. So they said, please, ma, you have to help us set your daughter's line. We can't get it. So they brought her down to the consulting room, and I was about to attend to her. Then a mother just accosted me on the corridor and began to scream and yell and say, no, what kind of thing is this? We'll be here all day. How can they just bring in this girl? Little did she know that the girl that they brought is my daughter. How can they just bring in this girl? And she's just going to shunt, and she's not. And she made a real scene. And I just looked at her. I was dazed. I didn't say a word. So I just made my daughter sit outside as though she was a patient. Then took this woman in, attended to her child, finished everything with her. The nurse that brought my daughter was just shaking her head. She couldn't believe that, no, I mean, this cannot be real. This must be some form of video. And I finished. When I finished, then I now told the other mothers, please give me a few minutes. Let me just do a procedure for this girl, and I'll be with you. I didn't even say it was my daughter. Then I finished, set her line, they got her drugs running, took her back to the ward, and I continued working. You know, so the mother has not just the physical challenge of you don't sleep well. You have to depend on God to give you strength to go through that period. There's also the emotional demand on you that sometimes your children need you, whatever job you do need you, other people need you. So there are various emotional demands on the woman, on the mother, and we can do it, we can cope, we can excel in it if we ask God to help us, you know, and I was able to do that. Of course, so that spoke volumes to the staff nurse who was there. Eventually, the other mothers found out what was going on, and of course, they all calmed down, and they said, this doctor should be respected, that if it was me, I wouldn't do that kind of thing, you know. So those are some of the challenges of motherhood. Physical challenges, emotional challenges are there. You know, you have to balance so many things at the same time. You want to talk about the balance of discipline as well. You know, we love these children, and you know, they're so important and all that, but that also doesn't mean that we don't discipline them. You know, so there's also that balance that, look, we've got to discipline these children when they, yes, I'm not saying you beat a 1-year-old. A 1-year-old doesn't understand beating, because you beat like this, in the next 2 minutes, he or she has gone back to do that. So yes, but age-appropriate discipline, because it's part of raising these children so that they are responsible members of society, so that, you know, they know what is right and what is wrong. You know, a child who hasn't properly brought up from the house, who has been properly disciplined at home, is not a headache to the teacher in school, because that child knows that the teacher says no is no. That child from the house has learned to regard constituted authority and obey constituted authority. You know, so there's also that challenge, and it's a balance that if you really love your child and you want your child to do well, discipline, we can't run away from it. I've had to discipline my children, you know, in various ways. When it was necessary for me to beat them, I beat them. When it was necessary that they should face naughty corner, they faced naughty corner. When all that was necessary, my first daughter is a teenager now. She's 15. So as you can imagine, cane is not the way forward anymore. Naughty corner is not the way forward anymore. We dialogue, we reason together. She brings forth her strong reasons, and I give her my strong reasons. And then we come to a consensus. You know, so discipline, we cannot run away from, and we owe it to our children to discipline them.
The agricultural sector contributes.
Status. Let me welcome and recognize our very traditional custodian and religious leaders that are also here with us today. Let me again welcome the bold and unshakable leaders and members of our labor unions, market men and women, and the trade associations that are present here. You're welcome. Our vital development and gentlemen of the press. Let me also welcome the artists of it. To be selfish a little bit by permitting me to recognize my successor, the President of Nupeng, who is also an initiator and the founder of this movement. And last but not the least, and very importantly, the heartbeat, muscle, and absolute soul of our nation. My team, fellow. Good morning, and a historic welcome to you all. On behalf of the National Executive Council of the Working People United, and with their sweat and blood to build our economy, I welcome you all with an overwhelming sense of historical pride, profound duty, and revolutionary hope to the prestigious Shehu Musa Advanced Center, Abuja, for this defining occasion, the Working People United Good Governance Summit 2026. Working People United is a grassroots platform of the nation's workforce. It has positioned itself as a major sensitization and advocacy force heading into the 2027 general election. Of mobilizing millions of voters across the nation to bridge the gaps of disconnect in our high condition offices in Abuja and the lived realities of the farmer in Yobe, the trader and the local formerly unveiled in Abuja ascribed to itself as its membership cutting across both formal and informal sectors. The working the nurses and doctors the resilient market women trading across markets in the country, the corporate executives steering boardroom decisions, and the dedicated civil servant managing state bureaucracy are sitting and standing shoulder to shoulder. We are all bound by one voice, guided by one vision, and marching toward one clear and unique destiny, which is the Nigeria of our dreams. Let it be declared loudly from this podium: Wobo is not a mere political pressure group. What is a grassroots volcanic movement? Where are the literal muscles that lay the bricks of Nigeria's infrastructure? We are the intellect that drives our diverse economy. We are the resilient, unbreakable spirit that refuses to let this country and the FCT and several of the local government areas was of this nation. A broad-based nationwide grassroots civic movement of organized labor, public and private employees of formal informal sectors, corporate and professionals, artisans, traders, farmers, transporters, and market men and women. This is who we are. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here today on this historic 25th day of June 2026, not to lament, not to complain. Narratives. We are here to take a radical look at our political future. We have come to scrutinize the monumental fundamental strikes. We are here to strip away the deliberate political noise, bypass the sensationalized media headlines, and state with facts and figures what the working people see and what they feel. We want to celebrate the wins and address the gaps and chart a path forward where the benefits of economic policies cascade down and positively impact the least working person. Leadership is an easy task when times are rosy and revenues are effortlessly flowing. But true, historic governance is tested only when the nation stands Nigeria merely manage the external symptoms of economic decay while completely ignoring the terminal disease eating the fabric of its foundation. We choose a cheap popular appeal willing to take the stronger surgical tool necessary to save the patient. We have watched an administration that choose courage over convenience. It is evident that Nigeria is undergoing difficult reforms. These reforms have brought real pressure on households, workers, traders, transporters, artisans, farmers, market business owners. Food prices, transport costs, energy costs, and the general cost of living have placed heavy burdens on all of us here today and our families. This reality cannot be denied. The concerns of the people are legitimate. Yes, the method and understanding are clear. Reform may be painful, but avoiding a reform could be more dangerous. However, tangible results for all. That is why our strategic message here today is simple: support continuity and demand delivery. We support continuity because reform must not stop halfway. We support continuity because policy confusion can create deeper economic uncertainty. This summit, the proactive of the summit, and the explosive growth of hope tells us one undeniable truth: that the grassroots are now. The permanent future of these people deserves the absolute, unalloyed, and militant backing of the same people. Summit, let our conversation be firmly anchored on veritable data, real-life grassroots impacts, and actionable roadmap. Let this momentous occasion serve as the ultimate launchpad for a structured, unstoppable momentum that will guarantee policy continuity, economic stability, and irreversible progress of our nation. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you to this summit, a summit that will long live the working people, long live working people united. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Of the about years, he nurtured the torchlight of opposition, strengthened democracy across this nation of ours, a movement across this great nation of ours. Born on this day, 25th of June, the defining acts of JFK in Washington, D.C., Pope John the 23rd in Rome. He walked into this venue at 64th birthday as the Chief of Staff to the President of the Republic of Nigeria. Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR is performing surgeries necessary for a strong and healthy foundation of this nation of ours. Today, the Hurricane Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sweeping across Nigeria from Calabar to Lagos Coastal Highway, Sokoto, Badagry. The footprints can be seen. Hurricane and infrastructural development, all courtesy of the renewed hope of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. From Makote to Otukpo, Otukpa Enugu Federal Road, Enugu Onitsha, Bodo, Boni. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, Boni Highland in Rivers State has been linked to the mainland, courtesy of the renewed hope agenda. As we speak, a bridge across River Benue in Buruku, the Buruku people. The reforms are real, the effects are real, but the credentials are evident for everyone to see. So happy birthday, sir. My name is Enenche. I've heard that name. And I'm here this day to say happy birthday to you as all Nigerians, and also that you are working in the heart of these great reforms that is changing the narrative on the shores of our nation of ours. Our love to Mr. President and Nigerians are praying for him, and this reform will be evident and continue even beyond 2027. And that's our prayer here. Please, once again, I put a hand slap to the chairman of the occasion, the Patriot, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Commander of the Federal Republic. Thank you very much, sir. Messages, I would like to respectfully welcome my sister, Dr. Marina. She takes over from here.
Thank you very much, Enenche, and welcome again, my mom, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Welcome, sir. We quickly move on to the goodwill messages, and I would like to respect who is the guest of honor, Mohammed Maigarit India, the PhD. A round of applause for him as he comes up to take his goodwill message. We can do better than that. We let them encourage him. Two minutes.
Excellency, our brother, Honorable, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff to the chairman of this very great occasion, our distinguished representatives of honorable ministers who are here, distinguished labor leaders who are coming from various parts of this country, representatives of workers' organizations, your Royal Highnesses, members of the academia, captains of industry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, I welcome you all to this very important occasion. I I am highly honored to be part of this important summit organized by Working People United for Good Governance, a platform made up of seasoned labor leaders and stakeholders who have consistently demonstrated commitment to the ideals of good governance, workers' welfare, national development, and social justice. Let me begin by commending the organizers for choosing a theme that is both timely and significant: policies and governance, impact on the working people. This theme goes to the heart of the relationship between government, positions, economic transformation, and the everyday realities of Nigerian workers. Governance is not merely about policies written in documents or programs announced from government offices. The true measure of governance is the extent to which policies translate into improved livelihoods, decent work, increased productivity, social protection, economic opportunities, and dignity for the working people. The administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR came into office with a clear understanding that sustainable national development must be anchored on bold reforms, inclusive economic growth, and a renewed social contract between government, labor, employers, and the Nigerian people. Distinguished participants, reforms are never without challenges. Every major transformation requires courage, patience, sacrifice, and collective responsibility. However, the objective of the federal government has remained clear: to build a stronger, more productive, and more resilient economy that works for all Nigerians. In the area of labor and employment, the administration has continued to demonstrate commitment to improving condition of workers and strengthening industrial relations. The government has maintained constructive engagement with organized labor through social dialogue and has continued to promote peaceful labor relations as a foundation for economic stability. One of the significant steps taken was the implementation of measures aimed at cushioning the effects of economic adjustments on workers and vulnerable groups. These include interventions to improve workers' purchasing power, support productivity, and create an environment where businesses can thrive and generate employment. The introduction of National Minimum Wage Act 2024 represents a major milestone in our collective effort to ensure that Nigerian workers receive fair compensation for their labor. The new wage framework recognizes the changing realities of the economy and reinforces principles that workers must benefit from national growth. Beyond wages, the federal government recognizes that the future of work requires investment in skills, innovation, and human capital development. Consequently, efforts are being intensified to promote technical and vocational education, entrepreneurship, and employability programs that prepare Nigerian workers, especially young people, for opportunities in the modern economy. The government that supports enterprise supports workers. When industries grow, jobs are created. When businesses succeed, workers and the families benefit. This is why the administration economic policies are designed to stimulate production, attract investment, and position Nigeria for long-term prosperity. The federal government has also continued to invest in infrastructure, energy reforms, transportation, agriculture, and other productive sectors, because these are critical foundations for job creation and improving living standards of our workers. However, governance is a shared responsibility. The success of any administration depends not only on the vision and the actions of government, but also on the cooperation of citizens, labor unions, employers, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders. As we discuss governance and its impact on workers, We must continue to promote constructive dialogue, national unity, and policies that place the interests of Nigerian people at the center of development. Let me assure you that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR remains committed to protecting workers' rights, promoting decent work, encouraging harmonious industrial relations,